In this video, I'll share with you exactly what I would do if I was a complete beginner starting completely from scratch and wanted to make $100,000 from development or programming. Now, there's a lot of different ways to go about doing this. However, I think what I'm going to lay out here is probably the fastest route to go to making that kind of money. But I do want to mention that this is going to skip over some of the fundamental skills that I may have mentioned in some of my other videos talking about, how do you master Python or the road to becoming a self-taught developer, all those other kind of videos. Those are really focused on how do you build all of these skills that are going to be important in a long-term career, a skill that you need to land a full-time position that could be paying you way more than $100,000 a year. This video is really focused on, okay, my main goal is how do I make this money as quickly as possible, and that's going to mean skipping out on a bunch of the skills that you don't need to get immediately into some jobs that can pay you a good amount of money. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense to you, but let me dive into this kind of roadmap or guide and share with you exactly what I would do. So the first thing I would do before I touch any programming languages, get into any code, is I would figure out what niche I wanted to get into. Now, the niche that I would pick would be the thing that had the lowest barrier to entry, so essentially required the least amount of time, but gave me the highest value skill relative to the time put in. Now, there's a lot of niches like backend developer or full stack developer where you can make a ton of money if you master that topic. However, that's probably going to take you months, if not years, to really get to a point where you're job ready. So you probably want to be picking something that's a little bit less intimidating, kind of less work, right? Just less skill required. So you can actually go out there and start making money as fast as possible. So I'll list out a bunch of niches here, and then I'll give you an example of one that's probably the best for beginners, just in terms of how much money you can make doing it and how easy it is to really dive into. So we have stuff like basic web design, we have e-commerce, we have Shopify, we have mobile development, data science, machine learning, infrastructure, DevOps, cybersecurity, game development. I could go on and list like a bunch of different niches here right in the programming field. Now, any one of these niches are going to be a good one to get into, but you want to be picking the highest value one, right? Which one can I start charging money for immediately? Now, if you check out the sponsor of this video, which is Freemote, you'll see that they actually have an entire bootcamp on Shopify and e-commerce development. Now, this is probably the best niche to dive into because this requires essentially basic front-end developer skills like CSS, HTML, JavaScript, but you don't have to be an absolute expert to use these platforms, right? Or to make a Shopify store. This is kind of a low-code platform. This is something that almost any of you watching this video could probably do in the next 2 or 3 weeks with very minimal coding knowledge. And this is a very high value skill because a lot of people right now have e-commerce stores, need maintenance done on them. They need you to build a store for them. They need you to go and add a custom page or some cool animation or JavaScript, code on the website. And this is something you can get paid a significant amount of money to do with very limited skill set. If you actually think of what's required to go out there and build a website in 2022, it's very basic knowledge of programming and knowing how to use one of these kind of editors, right? Shopify, Wix, WordPress, whatever it may be. So I would personally probably go into something like front-end development, learn just the absolute basics, pick up some kind of platform, right? Like Shopify, Wix, WordPress, Squarespace, and then immediately go out there into the free market and start charging money for it. Now, if you check out Freemote from the link in the description, you'll see that this is exactly what their course kind of aims to do, right? That's what it tries to teach you. How do you go from zero knowledge of programming to getting paid as quickly as possible? And that's why I actually put them on this video as a sponsor, because it's just the most fitting thing I could think of, right? This is a real world example of, okay, you're a complete beginner, learn the basics that you need, immediately start making money from it, get into some real world projects, have some mentors, have some live support, and that will push you very, very quickly into a position where you can charge money for the skills that you've obtained. So hopefully that makes a bit of sense, but first step here is really pick your niche, figure out what it is that I want to learn and what's going to make me the most amount of money as quickly as possible, then move on to the next steps. So after you've picked your niche and you have some kind of vision or some kind of direction that you're going to be going in, now you have to actually acquire the skill. Now, this is going to be different and take a different amount of time depending on what niche you want to go into and what you're focused on. But for me personally, I would probably look for some kind of course or some kind of comprehensive resource, whether it's free or whether it's paid, that gave me everything I needed in one place. Ideally, I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can. So I don't want to be spending hours searching every day for free resources or just looking for all different kinds of stuff. I kind of want everything in one place, and I want someone who's qualified to be kind of guiding me into what I need to learn. One of the hardest parts when you're just getting started is figuring out what you need to learn, then you actually have to go and learn it. So for me, I would try to skip the figuring out what I need to learn part and just pay someone to tell me that, whether it's through a call or a mentorship, or I'm paying for a course, I'm going in a mini boot camp or whatever it may be. But if I was doing this as fast as I could, then I would just pay to try to do that. Now, if I didn't have the money to pay for that, then I would obviously have to build a curriculum on my own, go and consult a lot of kind of free resources, and then go and learn all these topics from whatever free place I could find. Now, that's 100% doable. That would just definitely take me longer, and I'd spend, a good amount of time kind of searching for these resources as opposed to having them in a single place. So that's what you got to do in this section. I wish I could give you more actionable advice, but you have to find a place you can learn what it is you need to learn and then go and learn it. All right, now step 3, and this can kind of be intertwined with step 2, is going to be to find some kind of support group or mentor or network where you can validate that you actually know what you're doing. So once you've learned some of the basics, or once you're getting into the point where you're acquiring this skill, to be able to build the confidence to sell your services, you need to know that you actually have some idea what you're doing, right? You need someone to tell you that knows what they're doing. Hey, yes, this is correct. Yes, you're doing this right. Yes, you're not an idiot, right? Yes, you're not wasting your time. You just need some validation to build that kind of internal confidence so that you can then feel like, oh, I can go apply for jobs now. I can go and actually make some money. I can go and charge people on Fiverr or Upwork or whatever it's going to be. I know this step is what holds a lot of people back. They've learned all of this stuff usually on their own, and now they're like, well, I think I'm there, but I don't know if I'm there. And they have this kind of lack of confidence, right? They have the imposter syndrome where they don't push themselves to the next step because they think there's so much more stuff they still need to learn. So personally, for me, I would look for either kind of like a free community, or I would look for a paid mentor or someone or something where I could validate what I know. And I could go and check off the box and say, yes, I know how to do this. Yes, I know how to do this. Oh, I missed that one. Okay, I got to go back and learn that topic. And then once I felt confident, I was like, okay, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Other people are kind of at my level. They're making money doing the same thing I am. I'm going to go now and jump in and kind of start the money making process, right? So now that you've done that, you've picked your niche, you've learned the skills, you've got some kind of validation, some mentors, maybe like a little group or some community that you're a part of where you can kind of ask questions and validate what you know. Now it's time to make money, right? Okay, got to go out there and actually earn some dollars. So for me, what I would do is just immediately start applying to any kind of freelance or contractor jobs that I could find. And I would do as many as possible because as a freelance developer, I can take on 100 jobs, right? I can work 14 hours a day. I can do as much as I want to do, and I can work on any kind of schedule. Whereas if I try to go for a full-time job, that's probably going to take me a lot longer to acquire. There's probably going to be some higher requirements, especially if the company's offering benefits, if there's in-person interviews, if they have this whole long process, that's going to be a slower avenue to me making money as quickly as possible. So you have, the two routes. You can go and kind of do it freelance on your own, which is what I would feel comfortable doing, or you can go and try to jump into some kind of job. Now, I know for a lot of people, getting just a full-time gig is a little bit more comforting, right? That's kind of what they're used to. That's what they've done before. But for me personally, I've always kind of made money on my own. So that's what I would probably kind of lean towards. Okay, how can I maximize my income and not be limited by a single number that I negotiate one time when I go in for a job interview? So I would post my stuff on Fiverr, on Upwork. I would go and find any kind of contract stuff that I could. So anyone looking for work, and I would spend a significant amount of time just constantly reaching out to people and saying, can I do this for you? Can I do this for you? How can I help you? Blah, 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 and trying to get as much work as possible. So how would I do that? Well, I might go on LinkedIn and find people that are looking for specific developers. I might go to people I know that have, say, a Shopify store or need a game developed or whatever niche I'm in. And again, offer my services and just keep going and going and going and getting as many clients as humanly possible. Now, there's so many different ways to go about doing that. This isn't kind of like a marketing or sales video. I won't claim to be an expert in that field, but that's what I would do. Right? I would go out and try to get as many freelance gigs as possible. Now, at the same time, once I started taking on a few gigs and I felt confident, I might even start trying to teach people what I know. Maybe someone's a complete beginner and maybe I can mentor them a little bit. Maybe I can give them a basic tutoring session on how to use Shopify. I can explain something to them. I would take on side gigs as well and just really do anything that I thought could make me money, right? So I might even start a blog, I might start a podcast, I might make some YouTube videos. That's definitely a longer term play, but you guys can see where I'm at now. And that's what I started doing well before I was like a good programmer. I was a beginner programmer, yet I was still teaching people that were even more beginner than me how to get to, one step further in their journey. So that's personally what I would kind of do. I would take on major contract work, right? Try to get some big contracts, a bit of security in terms of the income. Then I would, in my free time, if I didn't have any work to do, be building out some kind of side business or side gig. Okay, I'm going to do a blog post. Okay, I'm going to do a YouTube video. Okay, I'm going to do a podcast, whatever. Something where there's the potential to grow a little bit of an audience. And then hopefully from that audience, I can get some clients, or I can start to monetize the audience by doing sponsorships, advertising, whatever. Again, much longer term play, but even if you add 100 people that read your blog, the chance that one of them is looking for the service you're offering is fairly high. You could probably get, a few clients from doing it. So with that said, I think I'll wrap up the video here. Hopefully you guys were able to get a little bit of value from this. Obviously, this is not easy to do. I'm never going to tell you it's easy to go out there and make a ton of money from programming, but it is 100% possible. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people do it every single year. And you really just got to push yourself and kind of find the motivation to go out there and start, because I promise you, if you do, you will not regret it. With that said, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.